Here we go. All right, recording has started and I'm going to share my screen and get this presentation ready to go for you. Okay. All right. So today we are talking about 3 steps to bust through inflammation. So for those of you that don't know me, I know on that Facebook group, we got a lot of people that are new to the group. So welcome to the group, and just an introduction of who I am and maybe why I started this program. So my name is Trisha Kamart. I'm a holistic nutritionist. I have 3 kids who are 11, 13, and 16. So they're keeping me busy this summer with sports, which I'm so happy about because we had a year without them. So it's just fantastic. I do teach Zumba and I love teaching Zumba. I also teach yoga, a type of yoga called Yoga Fit. But my main passion this past year has been just helping women, mostly women. I do help men, but mostly women who are going through perimenopause and in menopause, and to help them lose weight and master their metabolism, take charge of their metabolism again if it feels like it's faltering, and then also help lower their inflammation. And it's really, it lights me up. I mean, yes, I get excited when people lose weight, but I really get excited when people lower their inflammation, because then I know that their quality of life is improving. And that is so important for me to help my clients with, is just feeling better, more energy, less puffiness, less joint pain, and all of those, things that go along with inflammation. Just that reduction just can help create such a better quality of life. And that's what I like. And the other thing around, just around weight. So maybe you don't have any inflammation, but you're just, you're looking for weight loss. But if you take a measurement around your belly button and that's more than 35 inches, then that puts you at greater risk for metabolic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So when I see, even if I have a really healthy individual but just wants to lose weight, but if I see that their waist measurement is higher than 35 inches, that to me is inflammation. And so when I see that waist measurement come down, regardless of what weight they've lost, just that waist measurement makes me so happy, because I know that they are no longer in that range for those health conditions. So grab a pen and paper if you want to take some notes. I am recording, so I'll send out the recording tomorrow for those who signed up. If you're in the Facebook group, it's going to stay here, so that's okay. You can ask a question anytime. There's a chat box in the corner, and if you're on Facebook, I have you on my phone here, so I can see any comments that come up here on Facebook, so I can answer those. All right, so I wanted to ask you if you experienced any of these symptoms, and these are symptoms. So when you join the Facebook group, the Busting Through Chronic Inflammation Facebook group, I asked, what are some inflammation symptoms that you're going through? And sometimes we can have a very narrow range. I deal with joint pain myself, and this is why I developed my gut health program to help with joint pain, because that was my inflammation. But it's not necessarily the inflammation that everybody experiences. Your genetics are going to dictate what your body experiences as inflammation. Mine comes out as joint pain and some acne. But look at this list. So, fatigue, burning pain throughout the body, weakness, swelling, chronic nerve pain, swollen legs and ankles, bloating, insomnia, digestive issues, psoriasis, asthma, allergies, weight, depression, inflamed gallbladder, sinus, throat glands inflamed, inflammatory attacks, acne, allergy issues, hair loss, knee inflammation, Crohn's, IBS, iron deficiency, high inflammation in the body. That's a CRP is a blood marker. So high CRP is an indicator of oh, I got one more coming in. High CRP is an indicator of inflammation, tinnitus, autoimmune chronic inflammation, fibromyalgia, IBS, carpal tunnel, headaches, rosacea, arthritis, asthma, allergies, skin issues, tendinitis. So this is what's coming in. This is what people are experiencing. So when we think of inflammation, it's not just one thing. It can be a whole host of things. And again, it's depending on your environment, your genetics, what your body is going to experience. So I'm just gonna maybe oh yeah, okay, I think it's if you're on the Zoom call, maybe just mute yourself because there's a little bit of feedback. Um, so if you answered yes to some of these, some of those symptoms, and maybe you have your own, then my big wish for you is that I hope that, you learn some information today and maybe apply it and maybe get a little bit of relief. Today, we're going to talk about holistic nutrition practices to help with inflammation. And this is one avenue of holistic nutrition that we're going to focusing on gut health. There are other avenues that we can look at. Liver detoxification can be one. If there's autoimmune, following an autoimmune protocol can be another. So lots of avenues to go through and to try. Gut health is what I'm going to be talking about today, and how that can lead to inflammation. And these are just 3 steps of gut health that I run in my programs. We actually in the program go through 5 steps. So here's 3. So we're just, like I said, we're going to implement 3 implement 3 nutritional strategies to help reduce inflammation. So step 1, we're going to be talking about repairing any leaky gut issues by eliminating food sensitivities like dairy. So we're going to talk about what leaky gut is, and dairy being one of the biggest ones for most of my clients that is causing leaky gut. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then step 2, we're going to be talking about balancing your gut biome population. So all those probiotics, all those good bacteria in your gut, we're going to be talking about how we can balance that gut biome and the importance of that, and how to do that by reducing our sugar intake. And then step 3, we're going to be talking about mycotoxins. So this might be something new to you, maybe not, but just being aware of where mycotoxins are in our food and how we can make a few better choices for foods that have less mycotoxins or maybe not have any mycotoxins. So before we get into those steps and those details, let's just talk a bit about gut health and how it can affect inflammation. So there's two things that we talk about, or I talk about again in my program. One is leaky gut, and one is balancing the gut microbiome and how those can help with inflammation. So what is leaky gut? It's a term that we use quite a bit in the holistic health world, but it's basically if you have any food sensitivities, what it can do is those food sensitivities can cause the spaces in between your cells to get a little bit bigger. So in our digestive system, we have nice tight junctions, but not super tight because we have to allow for nutrients to go in and out of those junctions. But with food sensitivities, what happens is that it tends to increase the space a little bit. So when we have this increased space, then it allows for bigger particles of maybe food or toxins to get through that space and get into your bloodstream. So at that point, what happens is that your immune system kicks in. It finds those toxins, it finds those food particles, and it gets rid of it. Thank goodness. That's great. But the problem then is that then your immune system is sort of on alert. It's looking for other parts of your body that are similar to those toxins, similar to those food particles, and then it starts to attack those parts. But for some of us, attacking those parts can be attacking our body. So it could be things like attacking your joints. It could be attacking your thyroid. So we get this kind of overactive, sensitive immune system, which then can lead to all of this list of inflammation symptoms that you may be experiencing. So that's leaky gut. And then the other one is talking about balancing your gut microbiome. So, we talk a lot about, you probably heard like probiotics. Should I take a probiotic? Do I need a probiotic? There's so many probiotics to choose from. How do I even decide what probiotic to take? And so that's, taking a probiotic can help balance that microbiome. But there's other things that go into balancing that microbiome. We have billions, trillions of bacteria in our gut, and we have this amazing, like, symbiotic relationship with this bacteria. We feed the bacteria supplies us with enzymes and nutrients. So, it's a great relationship, but sometimes this bacteria can get out of balance. And, sometimes the bacteria gets out of balance. If you are sick at some time and you need to take an antibiotic, the antibiotic will get rid of the bad bacteria, but it'll also kill off some of the good bacteria. Times of stress. So when we're under stress, that can really change the microbiome as well. So, and it can be environmental, something in our environment, water toxicity, pollution. So there's lots of different reasons that our bacteria can get out of whack, even what we feed it. So if we're not feeding it the proper things to grow, then our bacteria can get unbalanced. So when our bacteria gets unbalanced, usually on the lower side, so we don't have enough probiotics in our digestive system. This is why there's so many probiotics on the market, because we want you to boost up your probiotics. But there has to be a balance between bacteria and yeast in our system. And if bacteria goes down, then yeast tends to go up. And this yeast overgrowth is known as candida. And sometimes we just think of candida as like a vaginal yeast infection, but it's so much more. The candida is it creates these biofilms, so like this film, and then the yeast stay in that film, and they're so protected. It's really hard for our immune system to get in there. It's so protected, and it creates more and more and more. But it's the byproduct of this yeast that can cause issues. So it can cause joint pain. It can cause all of these symptoms that we're experiencing. So, it's hard to say, do you have leaky gut? Do you have a candida issue? It's hard to say, but there's some things that you can do that will nutritionally that will kind of tackle both of those issues. So this part of this, like I said, is rooted in this gut health. So let's dive in and talk about these 3 strategies, holistic nutrition strategies that you can help to with leaky gut. There's my dog wanting in the office. Okay, so step 1, repair any leaky gut issues by eliminating food sensitivities like dairy. So in the Busting Through Chronic Inflammation program, this is one of the steps that we take. So we eliminate dairy. And when I say eliminate dairy, these are the things that we want to eliminate. And I'm talking about animal dairy. So cow, sheep, and goat are the 3 that you want to eliminate. So we have milk, yogurt, butter, ice cream, cream cheese, which is probably the hardest for everybody, and cottage cheese. So those are the milk products that tend to cause a lot of sensitivity for clients and cause that leaky gut from happening. So yeah, like I said, dairy is one of the major sensitivities people have. And the reason why we get food sensitivities, there is because we eat a lot of it. Probably in this case, we just eat a lot of dairy. Like we may have yogurt for breakfast, milk on our cereal, ice cream, cheese as a snack. So we're having it a lot through the day and not getting a lot of this variety of food that we need. And it tastes really good, right? So it can be a culprit of leaky gut, causing toxins and particles to leak into our bloodstream. So, something that you can do going forward is you can try to eliminate dairy for 3 weeks, and then reintroduce and check for your symptoms, see what you're experiencing. And sometimes when I ask people to do this reintroduction, it's not just about reintroducing and seeing if your symptoms come back, but look for anything. Look for, heartburn, look for indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, a breakout on your skin. Sometimes dairy can cause like mucus. So looking for like more mucus in your throat or through your sinuses. So if you're getting some of those symptoms, that could be the first sign that maybe your gut hasn't healed yet. Maybe you need a little bit longer to do some healing. But if everything's okay, then that 3 weeks that you took without dairy could have helped heal that leaky gut, and then your inflammation as well may be reduced too. And you should see that over the 3 weeks. So as you're reducing it, you should see a reduction in your inflammation. So, what are some choices for us to take if we're not drinking milk or having cheese? So, there's some lovely alternative plant milks out there, almond, oat, soya milk. Those are some options there. And the lovely thing about these milks is that they are fortifying them with vitamin D and with calcium. So you're going to get, if you're worried about those nutrients, you're going to get those in there. You can choose a coconut yogurt or an oat yogurt. So those are readily available now, and they're quite tasty. You can choose a coconut butter, it's called, instead of cream cheese. It's a bit on the, I think it's a bit on the sweeter side because it has that coconut taste to it. And so I wouldn't say you could replace it for like savory dishes, but if you were making some kind of a cheesecake or something like that, you could use it for that. There's some vegan cheese you can try. Instead of butter, you could try coconut oil. And instead of ice cream, you can choose a coconut ice cream. So, and there are cashew ice creams, but we're going to talk about cashew in a minute. So, some options there to get you through the 3 weeks to see if it's a culprit. I mean, we did this. I'm going to tell you, you can do this. We did this with my daughter when she was 2.5 years old because she was having signs of inflammation, digestive issues. And we took it out for 3 weeks, and she loved milk. And so, if she can do it, you can do it. I know you can. You just got to wrap your head around it. You just got to plan for it. Pick up these things so you have them in place, and give it a try. I'm not going to guarantee that this is going to work, but this could be something that you could try if you haven't tried it yet, to see if you have leaky gut or you have a sensitivity to dairy. So the next step is, talking about balancing our gut biome populations by reducing sugar. And if you've done any of my programs before, this is usually my number one. I actually put it on number 2 today, but usually this is my number 1, is eliminating sugar, reducing sugar, because it just has so many other health benefits. But one of the major ones here is definitely balancing the gut biome. So the reason why we eliminate sugar, reduce sugar, is because we really want to starve the yeast overgrowth. So as I said before, the bacteria populations may be low, yeast is high, and yeast loves sugar. They just love sugar. If you think about, I think this analogy will work. Like if you're making bread and you put yeast in to make homemade bread, and then you add sugar. You don't add a lot, but just enough to feed the yeast, right? And then the byproduct of the yeast is all of these air bubbles and this gassiness. So, the same thing, similar thing is happening in your body. We're feeding that yeast, and then the byproduct is what's causing the inflammation. So by starving, this bad bacteria and the yeast, we can bring these populations back down to normal and reduce inflammation. So now this might be the first step where we starve the yeast and we bring the yeast back down to normal populations. And then maybe you may need to repopulate with a probiotic to get bacteria up to normal populations. But in my experience running this program, everybody's eating a really good, healthy diet. Lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of healthy grains, and we are feeding that bacteria, the good bacteria. So it likes it likes things like onions and garlic. And so we're feeding this good bacteria. So the good bacteria is going up, the yeast is going down, and we've got this normal population. So interesting thing to note here too, because I talked about milk and dairy products. So lactose is a sugar that's from dairy, and bacteria and yeast love that lactose as well. So just something to pay attention to. If you are going to try this step by eliminating, reducing your sugar, you may also want to, you could possibly switch to maybe a lactose-free dairy products, and just to get those sugar populations down, like that sugar down a little bit more. So, my suggestion is to consume a low sugar diet, 40 to 60 grams of sugar per day from fruits and vegetables only. So getting your sugar from fruits and vegetables only. Don't be afraid of fruit. Fruit has lots of amazing nutrients in it, and minerals, and lots of fiber. I would stay away from fruit juices because they just don't have the fiber, and the yeast is going to love that fruit juice. But definitely have your sweet potatoes, have your raspberries. And speaking that, if you want to go really low sugar, you could do just focus on low sugar fruits. So like strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, green apples. So some options there for sure for low sugar fruits if you want to. So when you're buying processed food, so anything in a can or a box, look at the label. If sugar is an ingredient, then no more than 5 grams per serving, to make sure we keep that sugar down. And then just look for whole grain products and bean products. Those compared to white bread, white bagels, that kind of stuff is just going to have more fiber in it, and it's not going to feed that yeast as much as a white bread would, because white breads tend to break down into sugar pretty quickly, and so then we're going to be feeding that bacteria and that yeast. So that is step number 2. And then step number 3 is to eliminate mycotoxins and or be aware of better choices of food that don't contain mycotoxins. So what are mycotoxins? So mycotoxins, they're toxic compounds that are, they're naturally produced by certain types of molds and fungi. So mold can produce mycotoxins, and they can grow on lots of food. So mold can occur in food before harvest, after harvest, during storage, or if the food is in a warm, damp, humid conditions, then it can occur there. So most mycotoxins they're chemically stable, and they can survive processing. So where do we find these mycotoxins? And first on the list is coffee. So coffee can, because it's grown in a bean, coffee bean, inside that bean can create mold. And so, what I say here is don't give up coffee. We don't need to give up coffee, but we need to be really mindful of where we're getting our coffee from. So the one type of coffee that I like to use is called Kicking Horse. And that's because that company does do testing for molds. And so it only takes, it tests for mold. And so it's packaging a product that is low in mold. The other thing that you can do is there's a lot of people getting beans in, and they will, like small companies, I don't know what you call them, small companies, and they'll roast the beans themselves. So that is a really great idea, is to source your coffee from there, because they're a small company. They're going to look for the best product that they can sell, so they can have your business. They're going to be looking over the beans, because they're usually small batch roasted, and looking for signs of mold. And then they'll take out those beans and produce a really, really great product. There was so Kicking Horse. There's one on Wolf Island called, oh darn it, I wish I could remember. There's lots around anyway. So support a small business, and get get some good quality coffee. So next on the list is chocolates. And again, because chocolate is in that bean, in that shell, it can create a moldy environment. So, it's one thing that I suggest is the European chocolate, because again, in Europe, they have a higher standards. I feel like stuff is freezing. Is it okay? We'll see. I'm going to keep going. So, higher standards for again, for their products, and so they do more testing, and you can they just have better quality. So Lindt chocolate is a type of chocolate that it comes out of Europe that you can get, that it has just better quality. So looking for those types. I'm just going to check my connection here because I feel, oh no, I'm still on. Okay, go back. I see it's frozen on Facebook, so that's why I was wondering what's going on, but we'll see. Okay. Peanuts. And, a lot of people, we know this already, right? They have like allergies, anaphylaxis to peanuts. Probably, I think it's mostly because of the mold in the shell around the peanuts. So just, because you don't react that drastically, you still could have a sensitivity to the mold in peanuts. So again, looking for brands, I like to look for a brand that has been tested. Maranatha is one that we buy often as a family, because they do testing for mold. Cashews is another type of nut. And so, as I said, there's ice creams that you can buy that are cashew based. It's so good. But if you're looking at lowering inflammation, we really want to look at the, reducing those mold and those toxins. So sticking to a coconut ice cream would be better. And then the next step is looking at foods that contain yeast. And this doesn't seem like a big deal, but that includes any baked goods that are baked with yeast. So, this is a step that you can take. I mean, and this is the wonderful thing about this, you can just take one step at a time and see, if there's any sensitivities there, or you can go all in. So if you are looking at removing yeast from your diet, you can still get some good whole grain breads made with sourdough. So lots of sourdough producers locally, lots of recipes. You can make try your hand at making your own sourdough bread, but that's going to remove that yeast component and help with those toxins. So again, bread and buns, donuts. I think that might cover it, but bagels, those are going to have yeast in them. And the other one is mushrooms. Mushrooms is a type of fungus, and some people will react to mushrooms. So again, taking mushrooms out of your diet and seeing how your body reacts could be beneficial, and it could really reduce that inflammation. And then really look over your fruits and vegetables. So you get the carton of berries. Oh, sorry, I'm just checking my live stream here. I might have kicked off. That's okay. I'm just going to keep going here on Zoom, and I'll post it up there later. So, if you get the thing of berries, and the berries, some of them may have mold on them, don't eat those. Just don't eat those. Don't eat the ones around it. So be really particular. Look at your berries. Sometimes zucchini that you buy can have mold spots on it. So just really, really pay attention to your fruits and vegetables that you're eating, and not consuming any mold. So this is, I've had clients go through my program, and it's really interesting because we are all so individual. And what we do is we do this elimination. So we eliminate these foods for 3 weeks. Well, we do a process of elimination, and then we hold for 3 weeks and give the time for the gut to heal, and then we reintroduce. And when we reintroduce foods, it's really interesting to see, again, how unique and individual we are, and how we will react to different foods. And I had, when I ran this program last summer, mushrooms was a big one for one of my clients. And, you just never know. So it is worth testing out and seeing what creates more of that inflammation. So things to just to recap what I said: buy better coffee, buy better chocolate, buy better peanut butter, maybe remove cashews and pistachios. Oh, I forgot to mention pistachios, but remove cashews and pistachios, remove mushrooms for 3 weeks. That same protocol that I talked about with dairy, and then reintroduce it. And then, something else, avoid foods that contain yeast again for 3 weeks, and then reintroduce it and see how your body reacts. So just for myself, I'll tell you what I do react to yeast. And whenever I do a hair analysis test that tests for food sensitivities, yeast often comes up. So I'm pretty aware of how I react to yeast and how my joints then react when I eat yeast. So I've switched to like a sourdough rye bread, which seems to work really well for me. So we can make these changes. Sometimes we just need 3 weeks. Sometimes we need a little bit longer. So today you learned why eliminating dairy can help heal leaky gut and also balance your microbiome. We learned about eating less sugar to help balance that microbiome. And then we learned to reduce your mold exposure to help ease inflammation as well. So I never really talked about how mold can affect your how it affects your gut health, but it can just feed that yeast a little bit more. It's basically what it does. It also can affect your liver, which can then lead to inflammation as well. But in terms of gut health, it just kind of feeds that yeast a bit more, similar to sugar. So again, if you have any of these symptoms, or if you're experiencing some of your own, this is just not, this is a list that some people have given, but it's not the whole list. You probably have some of your own individual inflammation markers that you're dealing with. Then I really encourage you to give some of those steps that we talked about a try. If you need some help, if you need some support, if you need some guidance, this is what I do. This is my jam. So you can work with me. So right now I'm opening up my Busting Through Inflammation program. So last year I just ran the one VIP program, but I've broken it down into 3 separate programs this year, 3 separate price points. So there's the Busting Through Inflammation VIP coaching program that is a very one-on-one coaching program with me. It's a 12-week, all of these are 12 weeks long. So they're all 12 weeks long. This VIP program, we would meet 6 times through a Zoom call or a phone call, just to see how you're doing. You would plug in your food into a nutrition app that I see daily. So we would be in contact daily there as well. We would run a hair analysis to see what food sensitivities you have and see what environmental sensitivities you have and any nutrient deficiencies, plus additive sensitivities as well. And we would run that. So we would work together pretty closely for 3 months. The next one is kind of the general in between program. So you would we would meet 3 times throughout the 12 weeks. You would get meal plans, and I should say in the first one too, you would get custom meal plans for you. And this one, you would also get custom meal plans for yourself based on your habits, what you like to eat, and based on the program as well, what you can eat. And then also you would have access to that nutrition app where you would be typing in your food and I would be looking at it daily. And then the last one is a self-study. So every week you would get emailed a lesson, a video lesson, and then a meal plan, just a generic meal plan that you could follow, some recipes that you could follow there. So if you are interested in any of those, then just send me a message and I would love to get you started. Or if you have more questions, like what else are we eliminating in this plan, right? Is often a big one. So I would be happy to chat with you. So does anybody have any questions? I'm just gonna load up my Facebook on my phone because, oh, there we go. There, okay. And I don't see any questions on Facebook. Losing my voice here. So I think we're good there. I'm just going to stop my share. And I don't see any questions in the chat. But again, I'm available anytime. Send me a message. And I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. I guess I've talked too long without any water. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I will chat with you all later. Okay, bye.